because I began to see how real leadership always had trust as the foundation and the basis. And without trust, we're not leading. People might be managing, they might be administering, but leadership requires trust to work, to operate. And I like to say that trust, in fact, is the number one competency of leadership. So command and control is kind of just the traditional, hierarchical, top-down leadership that's based upon position. It's kind of like, hey, I'm the boss, I'm in charge. And at its worst, it's based on fear that, I'm the boss, I can fire you, let you go. So that's fear-based. At its best, command and control is what I call an enlightened command and control, where maybe people are kind about it, and it's kind of transactional though. What we can do together. We're doing this together. It's not transactional, it's transformational.
Hola amigos, bienvenidos a su podcast 18 Minutos. Soy Francisco Rodríguez Aguirre, presidente de Smart Speakers, el principal buró de conferencistas de Latinoamérica, y me acompaña mi buen amigo Ricardo.
¿Cómo están, amigos de 18 Minutos? Es un placer estar aquí con ustedes. Otro episodio más con un invitado súper especial aquí, Rick Magaña de MPI Chair de Latinoamérica y CEO de Act Now Meeting Planner. Un placer estar aquí con ustedes.
Bueno, pues hoy nos acompaña una figura conocida a nivel internacional por sus bestsellers del New York Times. Él es Stephen Covey. Él es un reconocido autor, conferencista y experto en liderazgo y confianza organizacional. Es autor de los bestsellers The Speed of Trust y Trust and Inspire, y ha ayudado a transformar culturas empresariales en todo el mundo a través de sus enfoques de cómo liderar con confianza. Stephen, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Francisco and Ricardo. I'm delighted to be with you. Thank you so much.
Stephen, before we go in on the pre-recorded this video, you have some great books over there. You show me first, right? Can you show for the audience? Because
Absolutely.
Also it's in Spanish. You got it.
In Spanish.
La
this is
velocidad de
my
la confianza.
first book,
Go.
The Speed of Trust, La Velocidad de la Confianza. And then my new book, Trust and Inspire, Confiar e Inspirar.
Great, Stephen. So we have a great content with Stephen. And the first question, dear friend, what inspired you to focus to work on a trust of key of element on a leadership?
Because I began to see how real leadership always had trust as the foundation and the basis. And without trust, we're not leading. People might be managing, they might be administering, but leadership requires trust to work, to operate. And I like to say that trust, in fact, is the number one competency of leadership. Why? Because it helps make us better at every other competency that we need to have. And so our ability to collaborate goes up with trust. Our ability to innovate goes up with trust. Our ability to attract talent, retain talent, engage people goes up with trust. Our ability to execute strategy goes up with trust. So trust is like a performance multiplier that makes us better at everything else that we're trying to do, and we move faster and with less cost. I call it the speed of trust, and nothing is as fast as the speed of trust. Nada es tan rápido como la velocidad de la confianza. Nada.
So the trust is something that you can buy it in a store, a retail store. How do you can get it, that kind of trust?
Yeah, you can't buy it, but you can earn it. You can create it. You can build it intentionally, on purpose. And how you do it is by focusing on your credibility, who you are, and your behavior, how you do what you do. And that combination of credibility and behavior can help a person build trust, can help a leader build trust, can help a team build trust, and can even help an organization build trust. And so that's one of the big paradigm shifts about trust. Because some people kind of think that you either have trust or you don't. It's either there or it's not. Now, that might be your starting point. And maybe there's low trust, maybe medium, maybe high. But in the same way that you can lose trust through your behavior, you can also grow it, extend it, expand it through your behavior. So trust is learnable as a skill, as a competency through our credibility. And that's our character and our competence, both. And then our behavior, we behave in ways that build trust. Things like keeping commitments and creating transparency and talking straight and clarifying expectations and practicing accountability. These are behaviors that's what I do with my books. In the Speed of Trust in particular, I give people a framework and a language and a process of how they can build trust on purpose, build it intentionally.
Great, Stephen. What's the difference between command and control and trust and inspire?
Yeah. So command and control is kind of just the traditional, hierarchical, top-down leadership that's based upon position. It's kind of like, hey, I'm the boss, I'm in charge. And at its worst, it's based on fear that, I'm the boss, I can fire you, let you go. So that's fear-based. At its best, command and control is what I call an enlightened command and control, where maybe people are kind about it, and it's kind of transactional though. So fear-based command and control is what I can do to you. I'm the boss, I can fire you. Enlightened command and control is what I can do for you and you for me. That's much better, but it's still a transaction.
Yes.
What I'm comparing that to is trust and inspire. And that's what I can do with you, what we can do together. We're doing this together. It's not transactional, it's transformational. And it's about inspiration and partnership as opposed to just only motivation and transactions. And that inspires people and brings out the best in them. They want to perform better when they feel trusted, when they feel inspired, and they'll stay with you and they'll give you their very best versus when they feel like they're being micromanaged.
Yeah, I get it. One is like, I give you this, what are you going to give me? In the other one, you have with your people no limits, no? Because they are inspired and they're going to give the best they can give.
In fact, just an hour ago, I was with the CEO of a company and where someone came up to me from the company and said, our CEO trusts me so much, and I feel so grateful for that trust, I don't want to let him down. And I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my life. And he's bringing out the very best in me because I don't want to let him down. I want to live up to that trust that he gives me and show that it's justified. He's bringing out the very best in me. And that's what happens when people feel trusted and when they feel inspired. It brings out the best in everyone around us. Think about it for each of us as individuals. How do you feel when someone trusts you and inspires you compared to how you feel when someone just barks out the orders and commands and controls you only? It's different in kind for all of us.
Yeah. Stephen, we have been talking about trust, and the trust means the first step in order to have inspiration, right? So we are human beings. So the kind of trust, it starts with your family, with your habits, like a lifestyle maybe. But what happens when the trust has been broken? It can be repaired. Can you earn it again, or trust with both sides?
It's a great question, Ricardo. Here's my belief. I believe in most situations, not all, but in most situations, that it is possible to restore trust. The reason I say not all, because there might be some situations where the loss of trust is so egregious, so enormous that it might just be almost impossible to restore. Or maybe especially if it's a violation of character, a deep violation of integrity. It might be hard to restore in a situation like that. And it takes two people to restore it. One needs to earn it back, but the other needs to be willing to allow that to happen. And sometimes that's not always possible. Now, having said that, I think in most situations it's possible. But here's the key principle. Just like you behaved your way out of trust, you got to behave your way back into trust. You can't talk your way out of a problem that you behaved your way into. So if we've lost people's trust because of our behavior, words alone won't get it back. What can get it back is, are we willing to behave our way back into trust? Are we willing to take the actions needed to get back trust? And that might include taking responsibility for the lost trust. It might include making it right. And it might include clarifying expectations going forward of how you're going to regain the trust by how you interact with people. And then the most important step of all is, now I've got to do what I just said I was going to do. I just told people I'm going to try to do these things. I'm going to try to tell you the truth and be transparent and open. I'm going to try to deliver results and outcomes. Now, the most important thing, though, I need to do what I just said I was going to do. I need to keep the commitment. And then I can behave my way back into trust, just like I might have behaved my way out of it. But you can't talk your way back. The only way back is through your behavior. But I believe in most situations, it can be possible.
In most of the cases, it can be resolved, no? Because it was talking the way, each front of you, in your face, saying the uncomfortable talks needs to be done in order that we can trust again, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'll give you a little example. Look at Zoom. We're using Zoom right now. And when the pandemic came, Zoom in 1 month went from 10 million users to 200 million users in 1 month.
Wow. Yeah.
And initially, in that first month, they had a few security issues. Remember people used to say a Zoom bomb. And so, but the CEO, Eric Yuan, he's an amazing CEO. He took responsibility for the problem. He apologized to people. He talked and he said, look, customers, we've lost your trust. We've let you down. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. And then he outlined a whole series of steps that we're going to take to improve the security. And then they executed on that. They did everything they said they were going to do. They built that security back up. They built the relationship back up. And then he reported back. Here's what we've done. Here's what happened. Here's what we've done to fix it.
Exactly.
Here's where we are today. And he behaved his way back into trust. And Zoom, they had a little blip, but now then they restored it. And today, they have very high reliability, very high security, and they've regained the customer trust completely. And here we are using Zoom right now.
Again,
and it could have gone the other direction, but Eric Yuan and Zoom behaved their way back into trust, just like they had lost it through their behavior too. And that's a good example of how trust can be restored in even business situations too.
Stephen, what is the biggest misconception that leaders have about trust?
I'll give you a couple. Here's the first one. The idea that you either have trust or you don't. That's a starting point, but the reality is that trust is learnable as a skill, as a competency. It is something we can build intentionally, on purpose. Here's another misconception. The idea that trust is all character and character only. And the reality is that trust is both character and competence. Character and competence, both. So the character does matter. It's like a tree. You need the roots and the trunk of the tree. That's character. But you also need the branches and the fruits of the tree. That's competence. And sometimes people think that trust is character only. And so there might be an honest person, a good person, but they can't deliver. They don't perform. So you might not trust them on a key project, even though they're nice and honest and caring, if they don't deliver and perform. You need the competence to go along with the character, both. And then finally, the idea that trust is just a nice to have soft social virtue. It's a good thing, but some people just see it as a social virtue only. The reality is that trust is a social virtue, but it's also an economic driver, because trust affects the speed at which we can move and the cost of everything. And when there's high trust, you can move fast, low cost. That's a dividend, a high trust dividend. When there's low trust in a relationship or on a team, in a company with a customer, when there's low trust, everything takes you longer to do. Everything costs more. So speed goes down, cost goes up with low trust. That's a tax, a low trust tax. But the dividend is equally true. The trust goes up in the relationship, the team, the culture. The speed goes up, the cost goes down. That's a dividend, a high trust dividend. And the point is, trust is financial as well as social. It's both.
And I guess that the people can trust you in some things more than in others. How can you be a 360 leader?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, trust is always tied to the job to be done, to the context. So as a leader, you want to make sure that you model character and competence in your field. The character is a constant. That's who you are as a person. That's your integrity and your intent. Your intent is that you're seeking mutual benefit, win-win, that you care about people that you lead and serve. So that's a constant, your integrity, your intent. But your competence is very much tied to the job you're doing, because none of us are competent at everything. You know, someone might be a great engineer, but not good at artistry, and vice versa. So you want to, as a leader, you want to be competent in leading people and in understanding how to bring out the best in people. That's a universal competency that all people want to see from their leader, is someone that knows how to engage them, inspire them, trust them, and bring out the best in them. So again, focus on your character, focus on your competence, and then you apply it to the different jobs to be done.
Stephen, thinking about the trust, I think that the trust is something that we cannot assume that you have it. I mean, that's the first step to me in order to say I cannot assume that you have this kind of trust or whatever. In your experience, please give us two examples of trust in your personal or familiar and in someone in a company. Something that makes you take that.
Well, absolutely. So you can't just assume it, but at the same time, we also have to go first and model it. And so if we want to have trust, we have to be trustworthy, and we earn that, but we also have to be trusting. We give that. So trust is both earned and given. Here's an example of this, to your point.
Yeah.
So I worked with Hugo Boss, the global fashion retailer. They're based in Metzingen, Germany. And they brought in a new CEO. His name was Daniel Grieder. He came in from the outside because they were trying to go to a higher level of performance. And so they brought him in from the outside. So he's the first week on the job, only there 1 week. And he gets together with his top 100 leaders. And he says to them this, he says, "Team, we have a choice. Look, I'm new. You don't know me, I don't know you. Our choice is this. We can spend the next year getting to know each other, deciding whether or not we can trust each other. The problem with that, though, is we'll waste a year. We won't act and move fast on things we've got to do now. Or we can start from day one and choose to extend trust to each other. Why? Because we hire great people at Hugo Boss. So I start with trust until you give me reasons why I should not trust you." And so, but he went first as a leader, saying, "You can count on me being trustworthy. I'm going to try to demonstrate it to you with my character and with my competence." But then he said, "And I'm going to be trusting of you." And he said to the team, "I trust you. I trust you. I'm asking you, trust me back. Together we can create a whole new culture." Well, guess what? This happened very fast. They built trust fast because he went first. By being both trustworthy and by being trusting, they created team trust. And then they were able to achieve their objectives. They created a 5-year plan. When I visited with him, they were 2 years into their 5-year plan, strategic plan, but they were achieving the goals and the metrics of year 4 of the plan. They were 2 years ahead of schedule. He said, Stephen, we are moving at the speed of trust. And I said, Daniel, it's because you went first. You're modeling being both trustworthy and being trusting, and we need both.
Great example. Great idea.
Stephen, we're almost finishing, so this is the last question. What can a leader, what small steps can take to start building more trust within his organization?
Here's 3 things you can do right away. First, focus on your own credibility first. And by that, I mean your character and your competence. And, don't wait on everybody else. Maybe other people need to change, but you give them a model of a leader who can be trusted. And, all trust starts with self-trust. So you trust yourself because of your character and your competence, but also you want others to trust you because of who you are, your character, your competence, your credibility. So focus on your credibility, your character, and your competence. That's a starting point. We can all get better. We can all increase our capabilities and our competence, our results, and we can all focus on improving our character. Second, declare your intent with other people. Tell them what you're going to do and tell them why you're going to do it. Always give the why behind the what. Because when people understand the why, they'll interpret your behavior differently. And sometimes leaders tell people what they're doing, but not why. Do both. Give the what, also give the why. I call it declare your intent. You're open. You're transparent. You're even vulnerable a little bit. Then you're saying, here's who I am. Here's how I would like to work. I'm trying to get these results, but I want to do it in a way that we build trust together so we can get more results in the future. I declare my intent. That builds trust. And then when you work with other people as a starting point, start by assuming positive intent, at least until they prove otherwise. So start with myself, my character, my competence. I'm trying to improve that. Then I declare my intent as I work with other people. I give the why, and I assume positive intent. Here's the third thing. Lead out in extending trust to others. Be like Daniel Grieder at Hugo Boss. And rather than saying, hey, I'm not going to trust any of you until you prove that I can and should, that will take too long. and instead, it's maybe say, I choose to start with trust as a starting point until you give me reasons why I should not. And you watch what that does to people, how they'll be inspired by it, how they'll want to live up to it and perform better because of it. And yeah, there might be occasionally 1 or 2 that take advantage, but the vast majority of people will be inspired by it and perform better because of it. And they will reciprocate and return the trust to you. So when you trust people, they tend to trust you back. But when you don't trust people, they tend to not trust you either. So as a leader, find the appropriate ways to lead out in extending trust to your people, to your team, in a smart way. I'm not saying blindly do it. I call it smart trust, not a blind trust. There's expectations, there's accountability, but we as leaders not only need to be trustworthy, we also need to be more trusting. So lead out in extending trust to others. Those are 3 things you can do right away. Focus on your character and your competence, declare your intent and assume positive intent, give the why, and lead out in extending trust to others. Be trusting as well as trustworthy.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Such a great content. I really love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, Ricardo.
Stephen, it was a great interview for you, and thank you for coming out with the 18 minutes. And this is ending, so great to have you with this content, and see you in the next episode.
I look forward to it. Thank you, my friends. Muchas gracias.
Bye. Hasta luego, amigos de 18 minutos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Si les gusta, por favor, compártenlo. Y no olviden inscribirse también. Hasta luego.